All right, so red to B plus. Which pin here was the hookup? I'm gonna have to look up the specifications. The anode's pin 7. That's the one I thought it was. Don't expect me to remember this all off the top of my head. I barely work with the L84s, but well, let's just get these speaker lines connected. I don't know why I bother still using these binding posts, like. So continuing along, I don't understand why I have this capacitor here. It is decoupling the tone from the volume. I might have done that because the tone is 500K, not 1 meg, and maybe it was pulling too much impedance. But I did bypass it in testing and it sounded actually a little bit better. That tone knob's worn the frig out. I don't know that these are the original pots. No, that looks like a repurposed guitar pot even. These white wires look like original wires though. I'm also gonna get rid of this high-low circuit on the cathode of the EF86. I tend to have it switched to high and that sounds good. So we're gonna go with that. Come on, let go. Why don't you let go? Are you wrapped? Yeah, you are. I put you on there nice. It's funny, this used to be another input jack. Now was that me who did that or was that part of the original design? I wonder if I have the original schematic for this around. I might. Now while I'm on this switch movement chain, I kind of want to move this bright over to the other side. A 0047 bright cap. Is that normal? I don't think it is. But first, actually, I should get the cathode on here. I'm just going to go with a 470 ohm and call it a day. I got some old carbon comps in stock that should do the job. This is not my cleanest work, but it's kind of like, you know, it's a dirty job to begin with. If I was gonna clean this up, I'd have to take it apart and completely respec the amp. Gotta make sure we get the bypass cap back in place though. It's kind of a tease when you look at an old project like this and think, wow, I can do so much better than this now. Now chances are I might have tried other bright cap values, but decided to go with 0047, so I guess I'll stick with it. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna change it. I don't have a lot of good 0047s left in stock, but I have a lot. I have a surplus of .0001s. I even got some vintagers that I probably wouldn't use for a new project. The philosophy behind adding a switchable bright cap is if I wanted to do something like run a distortion pedal through this amp, it would sound better with bright off. But then if you want it playing clean, it's better with bright on, right? Now I'm gonna repair on the tone circuit while I'm in here. What's that? 472J. What's a 472J again? I think that's an 047. No. 223 is an 022, so 472 would be another 0047. All these 0047s, I swear I had a surplus of them back then. Basically, the pot is worn out. I can tell it's a completely clapped out volume pot from a guitar. Come on, let's go. I think I should just chuck this pot directly in the garbage. It looks rotten. Here's a B1 meg. Might give better tonal control without the audio taper. And I know it's in significantly better condition. Hey, is it compatible with... Oh, look at that. It'll use the same screws I just took off. Isn't that sweet? Didn't I have a washer on this thing? I guess not. That shaft's cut pretty light. Am I gonna have enough shaft depth? Yeah, just enough. Okay. Making some more reasonable connections and pulling a fresh ground from the volume pot instead of just folding back the little, you know, I'm just using new things that I've learned. Now is this center wiper? It's not gonna reach. This little white wire is not long enough, so I gotta rotate this down, eh? That'll do. I was strapped for parts once upon a time. I couldn't just hop on Mauser or DigiKey but now parts are easy. So that's good. And I forgot to connect this. Master volume out right here. Sitting entirely too close to that. Okay, now it should work the way it did before. So now I want to rip out this whole bias circuit because, you know, that's a bad idea we're not doing anymore. Well, it wasn't a bad idea, it's just pointless for this. Oh, this solder's flaking. This was lead-free stuff. Some of this is the original wire. Kinda don't want to ruin it too much. Oh, I don't know if that's possible. Ow, hot. Get off there. So difficult. Okay, that bias circuit is pretty much completely removed. Now let's redo the cathode bias. I already determined previously on an off-camera experiment that this 1.5K sits right in around the area that I want this thing to run at, 30 milliamps. This, as you can recall from the transformer test, this runs a little bit higher. A little bit higher voltage than your typical single-ended EL84 type amp, so we need a little bit more bias control here. And then for cathode bypass, a 22U 63 volt. Because I haven't got a larger value that qualifies for this that is in the right voltage range. That sucks. Problem is, I don't think that's the last. Because I need grid leak for this now that I got rid of the negative bias circuit. And according to some of what I have planned, 100K? 100K or 1 meg? 220K grid leak, actually. It's 220K grid leak because of what I have planned coming. Oh, hey, we'll use this rough old carbon comp that looks kind of like it was original to this amp. Actually looks pretty, actually looks pretty fresh. So we're just gonna connect this together for the time being. Hopefully get another resistor on this ground lug here. Then we gotta touch that grid leak before the other side of this grid stopper. This amp should work now, just like it did before. Oh, let's get rid of this 1 meg hanging out of here. Well, let's chuck some tubes in and find out. Ugh. Debris. Ugh, we don't need the little 6AL5 anymore. Yeah. Okay, wish me no explosions. So far, so good. Plug in. We have some sound. Oh, I don't have the cab mic on, but... Wow, I'm getting like more gain or something. That's kind of not what should be happening. Kind of pretty much works the way it did before. Tone makes a bit more sense, except it's jumpy. Maybe an audio taper part's better for this. Yeah, it feels like it goes to full tone in like a quarter turn, so that's why we need audio taper pots. It sounds louder, and my God, is it quieter. There's like no hum now. Something about using the cathode bias as opposed to the negative bias takes the hum out of the power tube. Feels like this pot's rough too. It's a bit louder. All right, let's check our dissipation here before we get too carried away. All right, let's ground this out and we'll check voltage drop on the cathode right there. 13.9 volts. Actually, 13.9 volts. That's true, then I totally could use a larger cathode bypass. Oh, look, I left my calculator on and now the battery's dead. Nice. Son, I am disappointed. All right, 13.9 volts divided by 1500 ohms is 9 milliamps. Something's changed here, bud. I need less impedance. 9 milliamps isn't gonna do, or will it? Let's see how these numbers change as I play. Oh, I remember now. We changed the transformer too. When I chose that resistor value, that's when I had that other transformer in. We have 4 times the load on the anode now. So I guess we have 4 times less current consumption. Because I was batting about 30 milliamps before. If I switch to my bridge pickup, let's keep going. I'll rebias that tube later once I finish the rest of my mods. In the meantime, I need to confirm something here. Let's pop out this EL84 and let's pop in one of my Russian specials, 6P43Ps. This should work now. This should work now, no problem, no argument. Man, that pilot light is so dangerous. We just have like a floating resistor there. I should replace it with LED. Where's the pick I just had? Isn't that just the funny thing? Stop flinging them across the room, right? Oh, there it goes. Oh, we're at 28 volts. Oh, I also remember when I spec'd out that resistor, it was for these tubes, not the EL84. Okay, so 28 volts divided by the 1500 ohm. Yeah, we're at 18 milliamps now. Still a bit shy. We gotta bring that value down later. All right, so moving forward, I found in my collection this guy right here. That is a 6AT6. You can barely read it. And I'm not gonna say this is NOS because it's clearly used. But I do believe I threw it on the tube tester and it tested perfectly healthy. In a driver position, we don't have to worry about microphonics as much. In an amp that I'm probably never gonna use other than the novelty of once in a while, hey, look at this thing. It's not gonna matter that much. But this is a single triode, a 7-pin, so it'll fit in that spare socket we have. And it's rated for an amplification factor of about 70, as seen here. 6AT6, would that be equivalent to a 12AT7, roughly an amplification factor? No, 12AT7 is about 60. It's a little bit more. It's comparing it to a 5751. So this is effectively almost like having a 12AX7 stage in here. I guess it'll be perfect for driving our situation. And conveniently, in the data sheet, is it pretty much this, it has the circuit layout, tells you exactly what values to use. That's the reason why I picked the 220 grid leak for our power tube, because that would be roughly RS right here. So I am going, according to this first little stretch here, gain 38 under 300 volts. Because we are running slightly higher voltage here. Well, I don't know, I didn't test the voltage. It's not gonna be as low as 180 though. Man, the power supply in this is like arse backwards, but whatever, it's gonna work. Our anode resistor, 100K, that's perfect. RG1, that's our input leak, is calling for 100K. We're just gonna pull a Leo Fender here and we'll use what's coming off the gain pod as our grid leak, so whatever. RK, cathode, 2K, we'll use a 2.2. And then it says cathode bypass to taste, but there should be a cathode bypass. Okay, let's get going on this. So how's our pin out here? Filaments are 3 and 4. Hey, look at that. It's the same as the tube that was in there. It's great that some of these tubes were built on some form of standard. Oh, this tube is also odd that it has a couple diodes built into it, but apparently they're useless unless you use that tube specifically for what they intended it for. And that was some sort of automatic volume control in like a radio or something. Not necessarily for audio volume, but I don't know, radio frequency reception or something like that. I don't know, I didn't bother looking it up. So 7's anode here. Oh, that's close to the power supply, that's good. Our cathode is 2 right there. Oh, that's close to where I'm gonna grab ground. Pin 1 is our input grid, which is great because that's also right here. This is just working out perfectly. So we're gonna get rid of this capacitor for now. So we're gonna take signal from the tone pot here, or oh, you wanna take it from the master volume? Depends on how long my pieces of wire are. Well, let's put a piece of wire on the grid. And this wire is like... Okay, we could grab signal directly from the master volume. Okay, we got signal input now. Let's grab a cathode pin 2. Let's get a 2.2K in here. And we are going to take our ground from the tone pot's ground, which is taking from the volume pot's ground. We're going to be doing ground busing instead of just chassis ground planing. That would be kind of interesting, going all through this amp and redoing the ground, speccing it out. Even though if it continues to be as quiet as it was, there's no point. Now we're gonna get a cathode bypass on there. Again, I'm just gonna use a 22U. You guys remember Tone Lizard? In some of his information, he says, oh, greater than 22U? Nothing you can actually hear. I think he was the website where I read explaining just how much vintage amps actually suck, because they weren't actually designed to be good. But in that, we learn it's the imperfections that create that soul tone. Oh, wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. I want to replace those pots. Yeah, these pots are just shot. And the tone pot's the wrong taper. It's just no good, bud. Oh boy, that wire's chowdered now. Nice. I actually recently stocked up on fresh 1 meg pots. I'm just gonna bite the bullet and put fresh pots in here. I think this amp has earned it. Putting up with my bull crap all these years. Modding it and modding it again. Centralab. Ugh. You know, this might actually be one of the original pots. Now this one's still good, it's just a different taper. Brand new pots, buddy, are you excited? Oh. Alright, back to where we left off, just now with fresh parts. And of course, you know, I had to correct the way of being here by actually establishing a proper ground bus. Grounding off the same point that the rest of the preamp circuit's grounding off of, for the most part. Bam! Ground bus across these guys. Those are fresh pots. This thing should spin and dial in nice now. Okay, so we have input, we have cathode, now we just need the output. We need a 100K resistor. I got one right here. It's actually in here. We need to find power. Looks like it's gonna come from over here. Man, this power supply circuit. Oof, but at least I'm removing some ground points in this fiasco. All right, where's the anode? Brrr, show me the anode. Pin 7, where's pin 7? Right here. Can we get over to where power is? Preamp power, yes, over here. Good old point-to-point wiring, so messy. So messy. Oh boy, we just lost something else. That is not on well, that's hilarious. Oh, come on. Get on there and stay on there. Fox stakes, but good thing you're just a power feed. In retrospect, I could tie that directly on. Oh, I gotta do it right. Can't leave it like that. Can has be in place yet? All right. Such a haywire little connection. All right, we have our power. Now we have to get our signal output to this capacitor, 0.1U. Now we have 2.7 grid stop going to the power tube. Hopefully that's good enough. We just need to make better what we did over here. I guess that's gonna be okay like that. But disconnect that grid stop, create a hook on it, smooth this down, hook it on there, not completely wretch it. Wow. I think that was the last solder joint there. This should work now. Just give me a minute to stare at it. Now, as much as I appreciate this derpy neon lamp that just has the dropper resistor zip tied to the back of the switch, that's not up to my personal modern safety specs, so I'm gonna replace that with an LED. Yes, it's not the world's most elegant solution, but we got two 220s linking either side of the LED to the heater circuit. I know from experience a 470 ohm resistor will be good to run an LED off a heater circuit, so those are two 220s. 440, maybe a touch low. Nah, it's fine. You can go as low as 360. And yes, I'm aware of the whole flywheel diode concept on an LED pilot light because they don't like AC. But you know, I have other projects where I'm running an LED off the heater circuit with this method, and it's been like that for years, and the LED doesn't seem to care as long as you bias it correctly. So now if I plug it in and turn it on, oh yeah, LED indicator light. Hard to see underneath the bright studio lights. But hey, I just turned this on. Let's get the 6AV6 in place, bud. This should work now. Oh boy. Did I say 6AV6? I meant 6AT6. Okay, so let's turn it on. Might as well put these knobs into place while she's warming up. Where's the other one? Nice. Oh, come on, man. There it is. Oh, that's set tone halfway. And let's plug in a guitar. Now, oh, straighten that up. Split the high. Let us manifest a pick from the void. Oh boy. We got as much volume like here as we did before. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, that's lots of volume now. Tone is very subtle. The bright cap does something now. let's see what this guy's gonna do now. Compression. That is a completely different experience than we were getting before. We need to run a couple tests though. Oh, this tranny's getting a bit hot. I want to check our bias. Our bias. Clips onto here, clips onto here. 27. All right. Hey, wrong switch. We're getting like 35 to 38 on the meter here. 23 to 25 milliamps. That's within specification, so that's okay. However, based on what anode voltage? 278 volts. Okay, so we're gonna say 25 milliamps at 250 volts. 6 watts. We have a 6-7 watt amp, which is half what the tube's rated for. So it's just fine. It doesn't mind this at all. Mind you, at 250 volt sag, well, what should our bias be? 12 watts is that tube, divided by 250 volts. We can go as high as 48 milliamps. Should we bias it hotter? Yeah, why not?